All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Fight Talk 2021. Today, we are going to be talking about the heavyweight showdown between Anthony AJ Joshua and Oleksandr Usyk. This one is going to be a good one. It goes down in about 2 days, 3 days' time, I think this Saturday, and it gives us one step closer to finally having a unified champion, one face, one name in the heavyweight division that's been kind of dissolved and broke apart since Tyson Fury beat Vladimir Klitschko and vacated all those belts back in 2015. So, in a minute, I'm going to bring on my British boxing expert, and we're going to talk about what's going down in British boxing right now. We have two champions, and they're both from England. So this is going to be a big deal. It seems like they're on a collision course. They should have been fighting already, but we just have one more step. Of course, boxing is going to do what boxing does, and this is what we got. But Anthony Joshua right here is taking on, I would say, by far the hardest challenge in his whole career. This guy is a decorated amateur, Oleksandr Usyk. For those who don't know, I mean, we know Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is the WBA, WBO, IBF heavyweight champion. All he's missing is, that WBC belt, that Ring Magazine belt, that lineal title that Tyson Fury holds over on the other side. But he's fighting Usyk, and Usyk is definitely the most decorated champion that he's ever faced. Is an undefeated pro. He won the heavyweight gold medal at the London 2012 Olympics. Fun fact, Joshua won the super heavyweight gold. So these guys, you could even say, were on a collision course since that moment. Usyk was also the World Boxing Super Series cruiserweight champion. He won the tournament in the first cruiserweight undisputed 4-belt champion as well. He's now had 2 fights at heavyweight, and it's going down this Saturday. So that being said, I will bring in my man, Mr. Scott Leventhal.
Ray, man, how you doing?
What's up, Scott? Glad
Uh,
you can make it on here. It's been overdue, but I definitely wanted to bring you on for a moment like this, especially when we have such a big event going down for British boxing and on the road to an undisputed British boxing champion. So, real quick, just, kind of introduce yourself. Where are you from? And how long have you been a fan of the sport?
well, hello, everybody. First of all, nice to see you. My name is Scott Leventhal. I'm from England, originally in Bristol. Been out here since 2000. I'm a fan of not just British boxing, but also American too, because I've been here for most of half my life. But obviously, the roots run deep. And when it comes to boxing or soccer, football in our ways, then, that loyalty stays at home. I've been watching boxing since literally I can remember. It's just one of those things where it's like knee high. You've been around the family that love it, and you just kind of do all the big fights together. Grew up that style, so it's just in my blood.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's another thing that I, really appreciate over there across the pond. Man, when it comes to boxing, I mean, these guys, a lot of the times really know their stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, right
Casual
now
fans over here
heavyweight.
don't really know too much about boxing.
Yeah, we're right now.
Yeah.
Most people know British boxing for the heavyweight, and that's kind of Fury and Joshua both being such big names and having all of the belts at the moment obviously puts the spotlight on it. But there are a lot of other good boxers too. But just right now, the heavyweight is bringing back the shine to boxing. Kind of what's been maybe UFC has stole a little of it. But I think Joshua and Fury with the kind of antics that are going on and the big super fights that are out there right now, multiple to be made in the heavyweight division. So I think that's really helping.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, for the past couple years, we've heard, oh, there's this three-headed dragon in the heavyweight division. We need to unify this division. We can't really put a pin on who the number one is. And then Fury went out and destroyed Deontay Wilder in that last fight. Me and you watched that together, and that was just, we definitely were both a little surprised. But now we see on the other side, you still have Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua lost as well. So I would say, and a lot of people also would say, the Ring Magazine would say that Tyson Fury is the number one heavyweight at the moment. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that 100%, but I do believe that there are four people in the heavyweight division that could beat anybody on any given time.
Hmm. Who are those? Who's the fourth person or the third person, or who are those four people? Who are the four horsemen of Scott's heavyweight division?
In order currently, I would have it as Fury number one, and I think number two and three as Joshua and. Oh man, it's really tough. See, when it has to be in order, it's tough. But Wilder number four, and Joshua number two, number three, I suppose has to be. I suppose has to be. Is it Ruiz? I don't know.
Andy Ruiz. You think
can,
Andy Ruiz can make a comeback?
can I'm not sure. I don't know, but I think he also could beat people. On a night if he sorts himself out. But I'm not really that sure at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think Ruiz is definitely in there, especially now that he's over with Eddie Reynoso and his camp. We might see a elevated. He's definitely in a lot better shape than that
A more
rematch with
serious
Joshua.
version.
Yeah,
He's got the
definitely.
tools.
For sure. So let's we'll circle back to those other potential fights, but at the moment we got Joshua versus Usyk going down this Saturday night.
Man.
What do you think? We'll get your official prediction at the end, but as far as this matchup goes, how do you feel about this matchup? How do you feel about Usyk as a challenger for Anthony Joshua?
I'm more worried of Usyk than I was with either fight with Ruiz. Even going into the second one where I knew he had lost previously, I really
Mhm.
did think that he would just correct that and kind of do what happened.
Yeah.
But Usyk is kind of, to me, he's the same as Joshua, just a little bit smaller. And I think the only place that he's better than Joshua is actually in the skills so far. So I
Yeah.
feel that's where his best chance comes. I think Joshua is going to be really confident because he's fighting in England again and he's undefeated in England. He only had his loss outside of the States with Ruiz, which were his only outside of the UK, sorry, which was the only two fights outside of England. So back in England, he's going to be feeling undefeated again, super confident. With Joshua, it kind of goes in threes. He's got a 3-inch height advantage. He's got a 3-inch reach advantage, and he's 3 years younger. So for those reasons, I feel that Usyk really has to bring his A game and fight a super smart fight because, being able to dodge power is one thing that we see in Fury versus Wilder. But also being able to beat a height advantage, a reach advantage, and a power advantage, you really have to bring that skill game 100%, and he's going to have to box like crazy. Joshua in the last fight won by knockout. Usyk needed a decision to get by Chisora, who's another decent English fighter, but I would have expected Usyk to probably, at this stage in Chisora's career, put him away. I feel like maybe he won't have as much confidence off that last fight as Joshua is after the big knockout of Pulev, but it's definitely possible.
Yeah, I definitely, get what you're saying there, especially with Usyk, what you're talking about. Chisora is legit, but he's almost pretty much like a gatekeeper at this point. He's that guy who you have to beat. He's going to be around there.
Yep.
And I agree. I would have liked to see Usyk be able to go in there and finish him off. But I mean, that's a good test for him at the heavyweight division to show that he's ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think if anybody can box and has the skills, it's Usyk. That Ukrainian that style, that deep amateur background, all that kind of stuff. I think he's able to bring it. And the other thing too is, I mean, if we could take anything away from that Joshua loss, it was to a shorter guy. And even in the rematch, had Ruiz not been so out of shape, not saying that Ruiz would have won that rematch, but Joshua had to fight a lot different, had to fight a lot more cautious, and he still got hit with big shots. So maybe that, being that shorter guy, do you think that might be a little bit of a kryptonite or a kink in the Joshua armor? And do you think that might be something that Usyk can expose?
I I think that that could be something to do with it. I think more on the Ruiz one, that he really got caught slipping, and
Hmm.
he just took it of what it was. He thought it was a bum guy getting put in last minute because it wasn't the original fight. He came in last minute as a filler,
Yeah,
and
it
he
was.
didn't have that full training camp for him specifically. And I think with Joshua that really showed. He got caught. Where Usyk can kind of have more success in my eyes is that he's a bit older, and that he has that still undefeated winners elite mentality. He hasn't tasted defeat, and that is a really really big thing. When you're going in against somebody that has lost and you still haven't, that puts it in your head that, like, yeah, I absolutely can do this. And Usyk is going to be going in there probably with the stronger head game, in my opinion. Um, and I think in round one, we're going to find out right away whether uh, the power of Joshua Tace gets through and can kind of worry him, or if he can kind of dodge and take everything that Joshua has to give, and then feel like, okay, I can go again. I feel like he's going to build as the fight goes on, where I think Joshua's going to get a little bit more slower and feel a bit more worried as the fight goes on.
Yeah, definitely. And also to what you said, that on the contrary, Usyk Usyk has that undefeated, record, that mentality. But on Joshua's side, not only did he lose, but he quit in that fight against Ruiz, which is a big deal. A lot of people wanted to argue, say, "Oh, he didn't quit, man. He spit out his mouthpiece. You could tell he didn't want to be there." So,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I guess we'll have to see, on Saturday night when the fight comes. But something very interesting about this was not the fight that was supposed to happen,
Mm.
right? This fight was ordered by the WBO. It was a mandatory fight for Joshua, and the WBO, I feel, got that right in making this a mandatory. But they also got it right by saying, "Hey, listen, we're gonna make a Usyk versus Joe Joyce interim fight because we're gonna allow Joshua to fight Tyson Fury for the undisputed." Right, but then he has to fight the winner of Usyk versus Joyce, and I felt WBO did the right decision in that. But of course, that fight dissolved, dematerialized due to a surprise decision by an arbitrator. In that arbitration, that was when Fury and Wilder signed to fight. They signed a 3-fight deal from the get-go. A lot of people could say that they never should have done that. I think that was kind of that old school boxing, like, greed with Top Rank doing stuff like that. I don't know. People might have different opinions about that, but I don't think there was ever a need to sign a 3-fight deal on the first go. But of course, Top Rank said, "Oh, we don't have to worry. Deontay's the date, the deadline's passed. They can't make us have that third fight." And the arbitrator said, "No, Deontay is right in this sense. You have to fight Deontay again." And it took the boxing world by surprise. It took the boxing world by surprise, and it almost seemed as if Bob Arum and Top Rank weren't really surprised. Eddie Hearn was shook. He, on every single interview was saying, "Man, I was calling everyone's phone, and I was gutted." And Bob Arum's just like, "Oh yeah, I guess we'll just fight him again." So when you see that, I mean, I know you're familiar with what went down, but when you see what went down, is it seem a little fishy to you, Scott, or do you feel that it was all good intentions and it just happened the way it happened?
Uh, I think when it first originally was signed that we were going to get 3 fights, I don't think that there was a boxing fan out there that was upset.
Yeah.
And uh, I was one of those guys that was super happy. I was like, okay, who's going to be upset with 3 of these fights, regardless of how it goes down? But because I think that we had I don't want to say a clear winner in 2 of them, but because the second one was such a win and the first one was pretty dang close, I think everybody kind of feels like, okay, we've been there, done that, we can move on. And the
Yeah.
guys that are holding the contracts are still saying, well, okay, I need to get paid though on this third one, you know.
Hmm.
And the fights that we all want to see are not always the ones that are going to get made, and that's because of business and because of contracts and these things. I do agree that we have to stick to them if they're made, but sometimes when certain things have happened before, you can change minds later or you can amend. And I think that personally, for Wilder to have a better chance of beating Fury, he should have taken another fight in between, taken some time, and not just gone straight back to, kind of
Fighting
the
Fury
top.
for that third time.
Yeah, the
Should have
third.
taken that in between fight and then tried to make that third fight down the line.
Yeah, the same way that Fury, when he started his comeback, he literally he had some
He
names on
fought
there.
two.
I had to
He fought two
research
cab
people.
drivers.
I had to research people and be like, "Who is this?" You know, because
Yeah.
I didn't know. But and he didn't even look very good in them. And while I was watching, I was like, "Well, maybe the comeback's not for him," you know.
Mm.
Uh, but watching him now, he did it the right way, and I think that we can all look back and say that. And Wilder is young enough that he can do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think if he loses this next fight, then that really makes the future tougher, fights that he's going to get. Where if he didn't fight Fury now, I think he could, put away a Ruiz and be right back there, asking for the fights from anybody.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that point of view because, I mean, he was up here, right? And then that loss dropped him down here, but then even the excuses and everything even
Yes,
dropped him lower. It was, it dropped him even lower. So now to be able to come back up to here, I mean, he just needs, one or two wins, especially a win over Fury would bring him all the way back up.
of course.
But, to lose, you're going to go all the way back down here now. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be much harder to climb back to the top than had he did it the way that you're saying. But I feel like Deontay is one of those guys that he's always bet on himself.
Hmm.
And especially when he had that opportunity to sign a 2-fight deal with Matchroom and DAZN for the Anthony Joshua fight, and he turned it down because he said, "Okay, if even more money," and he bet on himself like that, which we could argue whether it played off or not. But as far as it being a because a lot of the times this is the way the business is, right? The way the boxing business is. We, like you said, we don't get the fights that we want to see when we want to see them. But this one was a lot different because we were getting the fight. We were getting Joshua versus Fury. It was basically signed and delivered, ready to go. And then at the last minute, oh man, it fell apart. So a lot of people are saying, okay, was this Top Ranks and Bob Arum's, idea from the whole time? Because when you just tried to sell Wilder versus Fury 3, we saw what happened in 2. It's kind of a hard sell. But
Yes.
then if you go, oh hey, we're gonna fight Joshua, you know, gotta be quicker than that. Wait a second. Do you think there's a little bit of ill intentions there
I
with
think
with
that
the
if
whole
one,
buildup?
I think if one of them unify, the rest of them are significantly valued, like a lot lower. So
Hmm.
right now we have, like you said, the top three, and then 4 or 5 maybe kind of there. Who knows? And if one person unifies and becomes top dog, it's 2, 3, and 4 and 5 and the rest, and nobody really cares. But
Yeah,
right,
nah.
having 4 good guys that they can say, well, this guy could fight this guy, and this guy could fight that guy. It all keeps the money floating around. Each team, each belt, each organization, each federation, everybody's got a bit of something that they can say, well, this is why you have to fight this guy next. And that, if he unifies, Joshua or Fury are able to do that, they get to call whatever that they want, and they'll be in the driving seat. And right now, everybody else has to dance to the organizations or the federation's tune because they want that chance. So and none of them want to miss out on these big paydays while everybody's eyes and attention is that way. So I feel a little bit of kind of distrust to where I feel like, are we trying to be kept from a unification fight? But at the end of the day, I feel, if the cream does rise to the top and Joshua and Fury do what they're supposed to in the next fight, there's no way it can be avoided.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. At that point, it's just somebody's ducking, right?
Yes.
And I don't think it's Eddie Hearn at this point. I think these are my personal thoughts, real quick. Is I thought that when Eddie Hearn was promoting Joshua and talking about Wilder, I thought they don't really want that fight, right? I think Eddie Hearn was playing into the whole boxing promoter type deal. And then after Joshua lost, and then after Eddie Hearn's, been meeting, people like Dana White, seeing how that business is running, I think maybe, and this is just my personal feelings, I think maybe he had a little bit of a reality check and thought, okay, I'm a young guy in this business. If we're going to have a very successful future, we're going to have to make these fights, right? We're going to have to make these fights that people want to see, and we're going to have to make them sooner rather than later. We can't keep milking it, or else something's going to happen like an Andrew Ruiz again, and it's going to mess it all up.
I agree.
Yeah, so I think Anthony Joshua wants to do it. Now, Bob Arum, on the other hand, I think he's 93. And if I'm making a bet, I think he's fine with living out the rest of his days, doing it the same old way. But, without making his job harder than it needs to be. But, moving on from that, in those two fights, so we basically have a four-man tournament right now. Joshua versus Usyk, Wilder versus Fury 3. Who has the better odds of pulling an upset in both of those fights? Usyk or Wilder? What do you think?
Mm. Wow, that's really tough. Wilder, obviously, with the one punch, which we already seen, he can land on Fury.
And
Uh,
on anyone.
but Fury did get up, and Joshua, I would probably say that Usyk does have the best chance right now because of how good Fury is. And that's not to take away from really Usyk or Joshua, but Fury, I feel, has Deontay sussed out in those two fights, whether it's going for power or staying, the smartness. I think that I don't actually think that there's a category other than just hitting hard with the right hand
Yeah.
that he is close to Fury in any other way. So on that fight, I don't see anything changing. But on the Usyk one, I think Joshua is the favorite by on the betting odds of minus 280. So you have to bet $280 to win just 100.
Yeah.
So almost 3-1, but I think this is more 50-50, more 60-40, I would say, than what people are really thinking.
Yeah.
Um, just again because of Usyk's his mentality is so good as a winner and a fighter. I've been watching the videos of him out in England. He seems comfortable. He's around the town. He's doing pressers. He's calling out Joshua online. He's not hiding in a hotel, being anywhere. He's right out there, and I think that he's going to put on a show.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean that's really saying a lot to Usyk too, because he has such a decorated amateur career and already a decorated pro career.
Yeah.
Being undisputed at cruiserweight, he is like Evander Holyfield's moving up to heavyweight, and he's got the skills to do it. And I agree. I think Usyk really can pull the upset. And it comes down to a lot of factors. The fact that Usyk is so good, and that we've already seen Joshua lose and quit. But I mean, that says so much that we think that is a bigger chance of an upset than statistically the hardest puncher in all the heavyweight history.
Hmm.
And Deontay Wilder, who can land that shot, has landed that shot. But one of the biggest things about that fight coming up is Deontay Wilder changing his trainer to Malik Scott. One of the comparisons that I like to make with Wilder, because a lot of people say, "Oh, Wilder doesn't really have that much skill." Right? They say Wilder's not technically sound. He doesn't have that much skill. And what that sounds to me like is there's a lot of room for improvement. Right? I compare him to Francis Ngannou, the heavyweight champion in the UFC, because this guy had that one punch strong power. If he touches you, you're going to sleep. But when he fought Stipe the first time, he got outclassed. But
Mm.
there was a lot of room for improvement. And then over the course of those couple years, he was able to make that improvement because that room was there for him to make it. So he made it. He came back and he completely dominated Stipe and knocked him out cold. So when it comes to Deontay Wilder having that skill gap, do you think he's able to fill that? Because Malik Scott's got him punching to the body, setting up shots,
Mm.
this and that. And we saw Fury change his trainer and come back with a completely different game plan. Can Wilder replicate that and come up and be able to land that shot that he needs to land? Will it help him in giving him a better chance of landing that shot? Is what I'm trying to ask.
I think in this fight that the gap of the skill of Fury is too big for him to learn
That quickly.
that quick to make it super effective. I just feel that he can really be the man if he can just get a full power jab. If he can have a, a jab that could keep some distance from Fury coming in, because Fury has sussed out that if he just comes in, closes the gap, dodges the first bomb, gets in close, and swings like a madman, Deontay can't stop him. And that's pretty much like how he figured out that the way to beat Deontay is to get in close, not to stay away and evade the right hand, because eventually
Yeah,
it's,
it's gonna land. Yeah, it's
so
coming.
the best way to set up the right hand when somebody is avoiding it is through the left. And if he could get a bigger left where he's hurting you with the left, but you have to think about the left more in the fight, and you're not just sat there saying, okay, when's the big right? And I'm looking to get out the way of the right. If the left is more of an issue and it's giving problems, you start to think about the left, and that's when you can land the right. So I think instead of him trying to learn an entirely new skill set to come out swinging, if he can just really just get a few little, like a good jab, maybe even just straight cross with the left that can actually hurt and blind and distract, then he can land more of the right against Tyson. That will give him a better result. But I honestly do believe that the gap at the moment, even between Joshua and kind of 2, 3, and 4 is too great. Fury has number 1. Joshua has 3 or 4 belts, and Fury only has the 1. But we all know that Joshua isn't as good as Fury with all those
Yeah,
belts.
yeah.
So I just think that 2, 3, and 4 are still just so far off number 1. Now I think Wilder could beat Joshua, much easier if he was fighting him instead, and I think he would have a very, very good chance against Usyk. I think between the three of them on any night, that's just flipping coins. But
Yeah.
I really believe that the three of them would kind of have to work together and make each other's game better for them to kind of go up against Fury, and be like, okay, how can we each make each other better to get this guy? And
They have to jump him.
yeah, that's just a testament right now to Fury and how good he is. I feel that all these other guys are really good, but they're catching Fury at Fury's peak.
Yeah, definitely. Especially at Kronk Gym right now. Fury just came out in that last fight and just looked like, man, it's wild. So I think Wilder definitely has to, like you said, develop that left, really threaten with that left. I think if he can throw some good straight right hands to the body, that'll set up that right hand upstairs, and then maybe even slow down Fury, because it's not like Fury's jacked in the body. He's kind of a little bit of a softy,
He's got punch.
and he's taller, so that body might be there to hit maybe.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. But here's my question for you: what happens if Wilder wins? If Wilder wins, do we see a fourth fight, or does he automatically take everything that Fury just accomplished, and then he's now the new one on the way to the winner of Joshua versus Usyk? And the same thing for if Usyk wins. If Usyk wins, does he automatically take that and then fight the winner of Fury Wilder 3, or do we see Usyk versus Joshua 2?
Oof, I think that it has to unfortunately be another fight with Fury and Tyson and Deontay if Deontay wins.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the third, but if Deontay wins the third, then I really want to see the fourth. And,
Yeah.
that's kind of something that maybe that they have on there, like you were saying about the mistrust, and like, could this be something they're setting us up for? And it is totally possible. But I would have to see the fourth, I think, if I could. And Usyk, if he beats Joshua, I don't think Joshua deserves an automatic rematch because he already has one loss.
Mhm.
But if it's a good fight and it's a close fight and it's a ooh, then yeah, and we want to see it again, then yeah, that makes sense. But if
But if
one
he
guy,
gets beat like Ruiz
yeah,
beat
if one
him,
guy wins, I don't think we need to. I don't think so. I don't think it's a mandatory, in my eyes, because Usyk is also an undefeated fighter that is supposed to be there to give him a problem. It's not like, a fill in or a shock like it
he's
would.
not Pulev.
Exactly, it's not that. So
Yeah.
I
I mean,
I
he's already an undisputed champion from cruiserweight, you know what I mean? So why not put him in the undisputed heavyweight fight?
Yeah,
So,
he's bringing
I
in
agree.
weight with him. He's bringing in respect from the fight game with him. It's not, oh, good luck out there, kind of like do your best and don't get knocked out and that's a win. It's not that. This is like he's going to be going there to really make a name. I do believe that he wants to unify 100%. I think his
Yeah.
plan is to unify, and that's why he's kind of like what I was saying with Wilder. He should take a longer route to get to the victory. I think that Usyk has been making this, in the coming for a long time. I think he's avoided the heavyweights because they've been so good for so long. But now he's seen somebody beat Joshua, and he thinks, man, if Andy can do it, I can. You
Oh,
know,
for sure.
and this is time.
If
So,
Andy could do it, anyone can, right?
amen. I feel, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
We
man.
thought we said if this guy can do it.
I
Oh
didn't
man.
even buy the first fight because I was so not worried about it. I was so upset.
I remember that.
I was so upset that it got switched because I wanted to see the
It
fight.
was last minute. The guy was tubby.
Oh,
But man, that was one of those things because it was supposed to be Joshua versus Wilder for the longest time. And I was telling everybody, man, I think Wilder would spark Joshua. I don't think Joshua's as good as people think. And then he got beat by Tubbs. So
yeah.
I mean, that's still a debate because obviously we saw Wilder get beat the way he did. They both had that one loss. I think this has to play out. I think there's definitely combo possibilities. What are the odds that we see a Usyk versus Wilder
Whew.
undisputed fight?
This is the reason why the attention is coming back, and like I said, the spotlight or the shine is back on heavyweight boxing. Is because of these guys making that even a possibility again. You
Yeah,
know, it's that there are so many factors and ways that it can go, and what ifs. It is making it really really fun to talk about, to be involved in, definitely to watch
there's
uh,
conversations to be made.
all over, and I think that. I think nobody has the definite answer on either which way either fight is going to go. And I think you'd be silly to believe that you have the know all of these fights, because on any night, all of these guys are good enough to catch any one of the others and put them to bed.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Dude, I watch this stuff all the time religiously, and I still don't know what I'm talking about
Yeah.
when it comes to this. So, that being said, obviously, I know for Wilder versus Fury, I'm gonna make an assumption and just say you're going with Fury on this one.
I think he's going to get him in 5, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's going to be a quick.
even sooner.
I think it's going to be like 5 round. I think it's going to be number 5. I think he's going to get it maybe even in 4 or 5. Um, he can only come out and just go for it again. That's the style that's proven to work. So
Mhm.
why even waste time? It should come out second or third. Don't. The longer you give Wilder in the ring, the longer the chance he's gonna put that big bomb on you. So you just want to get him out there the moment that you can, and why not start from the beginning?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, man. And I think that was the game plan with that second fight, right? They said, "Bro, you're 6'9", you're 300 pounds. Move forward and get him out of there."
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll see how that one plays out. How does this weekend, this Saturday's fight, Joshua versus Usyk, play out? Who do you have winning this one?
I want to say Joshua in 9.
Yeah.
Uh, Yeah, I do. I really want to say Joshua 9 because I think the weight, the power, the kind of the reach is gonna do it for him. But if it goes to a decision, I'll be really really worried. I would say if it makes it to the end, I would say 50-50. That's how in a skilled fight, I'm very comfortable with taking a bet on Usyk here. If I had to put my money on it, I wouldn't be sat there on the couch saying, "Oh, what did I do at the start?" I'd say, "Okay, well, if we make it to the end, I think we'll get it." And I'm gonna hope that it's Joshua in 9 for a knockout. But man, this is going to be a good fight.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That being said, I guess I got to go with Usyk. I got a little input right here from a mutual friend of ours, Mr. Sergio. Sergio saying Joshua is trash. Ruiz beats him in the third fight. What do you
Wow.
think about that? You think
No,
Joshua versus Ruiz 3? How does how does that one go?
I feel like Ruiz doesn't deserve it. I don't think he'll get it. I think the lack of unpreparedness that he brought to the second, that's the reason why Bob Abrams and these guys are trying to keep the four good guys going because what are you going to do? Bring in chubby guy messing around, being a jokester, just happy to
Yeah.
be get his first bit of money, like okay, that I was happy for him to see that when he went out to Mexico and bought that $5 million place with his buddies and he just spent all his money from the Joshua fight. Great, loved watching it, but like, come on, man. Like, if you're gonna be like number one and be the
Yeah,
champ,
you know
hey,
the rematch is coming, bro.
yeah,
Why are
you
you
know
jumping up,
respect. So
20, 40 pounds in weight after
I
you're
don't think
already fat?
I don't think he's serious enough. Not like how game plans where Fury has recently lost weight to go into a fight or put fight onto specific to put weight on to specifically go into a different type of challenge. Joshua came down for the second Ruiz fight. You saw the leanest,
Came
skinny.
down for this one too.
He was so lean and so skinny, and he was moving, bouncing around. He looked like God, he looked like oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue. Sorry, I lost the name, but he just looked like a different version of himself. Maybe old school. I don't want to say like Sugar Ray Robinson style, but it was like that version of Joshua where he wasn't just bringing power; he was trying to, be
He's
like,
trying to
okay,
box him, yeah, and
if
that's what
if
he had to do.
yeah, and if this kid's gonna have the power, and I got to give that up, I got to be the skill. So I feel like Joshua did, try and make adjustments where, Ruiz is just I'm going in there swinging.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that if Joshua loses to Usyk and they don't make an automatic rematch, I think that's the fight to make.
Yeah, and I would say okay with that too. I just think that
At the moment, no.
no, yeah, I would
I would
say
like to see if Ruiz fights King Kong Ortiz and can beat him because they're both PBC fighters, then we can elevate Ruiz back into this conversation. Maybe throw him in here somewhere.
I'm not even sure if I need to see him beat somebody. Like maybe if I just see him lose weight and he's in the gym really going for it, and like, oh, this is me on Instagram with a new lifestyle change, and now I'm back. Like even something like that would give me more like
Oh, he
more
has,
hope.
bro. You gotta follow him on Instagram, man. He's slimmed down now. He's
Okay,
training with
well,
Canelo,
okay,
all that
okay.
stuff, man.
I'll check it out. I want to see him. I want to see him running in the Mile High in Denver, up there in the
The
thin
Big
air.
Bear. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay. Well, I'll check that out because if I see that, then I'll be happy to give him more of support for a bigger fight. Because not always, like he did. He won the Anthony Joshua fight. I don't even know if he trained for that fight. He might have just won that off of swinging and winging it. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, more power to him. He's definitely a fighter I would like to see in the future. If I could see more of him, I'd be okay. But when it does come to the heavyweights, those guys are so serious. I just like to see the boxers taking it 100% as professional as they can. Especially at $99 a fight or pay-per-view or whatever I'm going to be paying. I don't want you going in there like a bum lasting 99 seconds. Because you didn't want to work out.
Yeah, exactly, right. Well, all right, that being said, you got Joshua in 9. I got Usyk by decision.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes. Personally, I want Joshua to win. I don't want this whole, setup to get messed up, but we'll see what happens. But Scott, thank you so much for
Yes, sir.
finally joining me on this one. We'll
Good
do
time.
another one in a couple weeks before the Wilder fight, and then we could talk about the outcome of this one as well.
Love it.
All right, my man. I will see you
Yes,
soon,
sir.
my friend.
You're the man.
All right.